In every fairy tale, the poisoned apple holds a secret. This time, it's Apple's new iPhone 17 Pro Max. From the stars, the Galaxy S25 Ultra arrives. And pixels piece together Google Pixel's 10 Pro XL. A crystal heart drops, and Vivo's X200 Ultra comes to life. But in the dead of the night, which camera is the fairest of them all? Keep watching to find out. Oh, and you were probably expecting Olive? Well, not tonight. I'm taking over, and this is Versus.com. Just kidding, it's me, Olive, and we hope you enjoyed that little Halloween intro that we put together for you. Now let's get into the night camera test and see which phone really shines in the dark. For our camera comparisons, we always award points with the maximum number depending on the number of devices in the test. Since this comparison involves 4 devices, the maximum score for each category is 4. We'd also like to add that first, we always evaluate the photos and videos using a calibrated monitor, and second, all of the videos that you'll see here are recorded at 4K 30 FPS.
So as always, we're going to start off with standard wide photos, as that's the mode we feel people use most frequently.
The iPhone 17 Pro Max is still rocking a 48 megapixel shooter, which is the same as last year. The Galaxy S25 Ultra packs a massive 200 megapixel cam, and both the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL and the Vivo X200 Ultra have a 50 megapixel sensor. The Pixel has the widest aperture at f1.68, while both Vivo and the iPhone have the largest sensor at 1/1.28 inches. At first glance, all images look perfectly usable and quite similar actually. The only clear difference comes from Vivo, which uses a new 35mm lens. This makes its shots appear slightly more zoomed in compared to the 23 or 24mm lenses used by the other phones. The Galaxy's image appears overly blue, while the Pixel's photo looks excessively sharpened. Vivo, together with the iPhone, produces the most detailed photo, preserving even the faint clouds visible in the night sky. Here, the iPhone extremely overexposes the scene and makes me look like a ghost, washing out colors and losing the night atmosphere, while the Pixel's heavy sharpening makes it look overly processed, especially on my face. The Galaxy performs better, keeping the night mood but remaining too dark and lacking detail. Vivo clearly wins here, offering the best balance of brightness and colors while preserving the scene's natural ambience. In this last example, the Pixel goes for a long exposure look that creates nice light trails but completely brightens the street and kills the real night atmosphere. The iPhone does better, but it still leans too warm, making the entire scene look less true to life, while Samsung keeps the darker mood intact. Vivo once again takes the top spot with the most balanced exposure, rich colors, and sharp detail, all while preserving that authentic nighttime vibe.
So now let's move on to a few ultra-wide examples. Ultra-wide is a really great mode to capture more of the scenery in your photos.
Here, the iPhone and the Pixel both have 48 megapixel lenses, while the Galaxy and Vivo have a slightly larger 50 megapixel sensor. On paper, however, the Pixel offers the widest field of view. Both the iPhone and the Pixel struggle here with overexposure, especially around the bright 40 sign. The iPhone looks far too warm and washed out, while the Pixel adds a strong reddish tint to skin tones and, as always, over-sharpens. Samsung handles things a bit better, keeping exposure under control and maintaining more of the scene's contrast, even if the colors lean a little too cool. Vivo once again takes the win, showing excellent highlight control, crisp detail, and the most balanced overall look. Both the iPhone and the Galaxy show a lot of noise, especially in the sky, and their images lack sharpness overall. The Pixel performs slightly better here because its usual strong sharpening actually helps here and brings out more detail. Vivo is not perfect, since the focus on the subject could be a bit better, but it delivers a clean image with no visible noise and rich, well-balanced colors. Here is our spooky setup in the studio, and this scene was actually quite challenging. Vivo turned the image completely blood red, even though there was no direct red lighting, it was more orange. The Galaxy performed a bit better, but the tones were still too magenta. The Pixel and the iPhone were closest to real life, with the iPhone capturing the most detail and showing the best dynamic range.
So now we're on to portraits, which is my personal favorite. Let's see which one of these gives us the most realistic results while having the best edge detection.
At At 1x, all portraits fail at edge detection apart from Vivo, as you can see in my red bow. The iPhone performs the weakest here with a super washed out hazy look. Samsung and the Pixel both show clear strengths and flaws. Samsung delivers sharp detail and strong colors, but pushes contrast too far and overexposes the whites, while the Pixel looks more natural but suffers from an overly blue tint. Vivo once again takes the win, offering the best balance of color, detail, and background blur. At portrait zoom, 3x on the Galaxy and the Pixel, 4x on the iPhone, and 3.7x on Vivo, it's pretty obvious that Vivo delivers the best result here. The image stands out with vibrant colors, great contrast, and impressive edge detection. The Galaxy produces a more natural look, but the heavy noise and lack of sharpness hold it back. The Pixel goes in the opposite direction, looking overly sharp with messy edge detection, which is something that we've definitely seen before. The iPhone unfortunately performs the worst, as its shot turned out noticeably blurry.
It's time to test out the front camera, which of course means that I've got to take some selfies and see which one of these makes me look the cutest.
At the top of these screens, the iPhone has a brand new 18-megapixel shooter with a new sensor that lets you capture vertical, square, or horizontal shots without having to make the effort of rotating your wrist at all. The Galaxy comes with a traditional 12-megapixel camera, while the Pixel goes all in on megapixels with a 42-megapixel sensor, but Vivo tops that with a 50-megapixel cam. Of the bunch, the iPhone has the widest aperture. Interestingly, Vivo doesn't perform as strongly with its front camera. While skin tones do look pleasant, the image lacks sharpness and has a noticeable green tint. The Galaxy pushes contrast way too far, which ends up washing out the skin tones. Both the Pixel and the iPhone handle the shot much better, keeping the subject in clear focus, with the iPhone adding a subtle background blur that nicely separates the subject from the scene. In the second example, where there's more street lighting, the Pixel introduces a lot of noise, and Vivo suffers from a lack of sharpness, resulting in a somewhat blurry image. The Galaxy performs better overall, though its shadows are a bit too strong. The iPhone delivers the warmest yet most balanced result, making it the clear winner in this scene. Let's be honest, none of these videos look great, and the results really aren't usable. Still, if we take a closer look, the Pixel deserves some credit for trying its hardest to expose the subject, even though it introduces a lot of noise. Vivo's footage is very dark, smudged, and struggles with focus shifting, while the Galaxy's clip shows the most noise overall. As for the iPhone, it's also quite dark, but manages a solid dynamic range, and it's the only one that stays sharp when I move closer to the camera.
Good video quality is absolutely crucial when it comes to your smartphone. So let's put these four beasts to the test and see which one does it best.
For maximum video resolution, with the main camera, the iPhone can shoot 4K at a super high 120 FPS. The Galaxy and Vivo go all in on resolution with a huge 8K at 30 FPS. The Pixel, meanwhile, is capped at 4K 60 FPS, and yes, we know you can get 8K on the Pixel with Video Boost, but that's not on device. In this first video, the Pixel shows significant camera shake as its stabilization fails, and in trying to brighten the footage, it completely washes out the scene. Vivo also has some odd camera shake, though to a lesser degree. But what stands out more is the noticeable blur and noise, even if the colors do look pleasant. Both the Galaxy and the iPhone have their own issues, with the Galaxy struggling slightly with focus and the iPhone showing a strong green tint. Still, both manage to produce fairly decent videos that preserve a nice nighttime atmosphere. In this second example, taken under even more challenging lighting, the pattern stays the same. The Pixel still struggles with heavy camera shake and overexposure, while Vivo now adds an overly green tint and looks slightly smudged throughout the frame. Samsung's video performs well overall, showing almost no noise, though the colors are a bit too saturated and the contrast just too strong. The iPhone delivers the most natural and true-to-life result, capturing the best detail across the entire scene. Now, when it comes to portrait mode video, also known as cinematic mode, the iPhone, the Galaxy, and Vivo can all shoot in 4K at 30 FPS. The Pixel, however, is capped at a pretty low 1080p at 30 FPS. These results are quite interesting because both the iPhone and the Galaxy failed to apply any background blur, which is essentially the main purpose of portrait video. While it's possible to add the blur later in editing, that's just extra work. The Pixel does a good job with background blur, but still suffers from the same washed out look and heavy noise in the sky. Vivo also struggles with its blur effect, which only becomes noticeable when I'm very close to the camera, though in those moments the shot actually looks pretty good. Moving on to ultra-wide ultra-wide video, the iPhone, Galaxy, and the Pixel all get 4K at 60 FPS, but Vivo takes it a step further with an impressive 4K at 120 FPS. It's immediately clear that the Galaxy is just far too dark, with harsh shadows that make it difficult to see anything clearly. Between the Pixel and the iPhone, it's a bit tricky and really comes down to personal preference. The Pixel keeps the subject visible, but introduces heavy noise, losing the night atmosphere, and again looks really washed out. The iPhone, on the other hand, starts off dark but improves as more light comes in, showing accurate colors, stable footage, and a nicely preserved nighttime feel. Vivo, however, maintains consistent exposure and good color balance throughout the clip. Despite some noticeable noise, it still delivers the best overall performance. In the second example, both the iPhone and the Pixel produce a heavy amount of noise, and the Pixel once again struggles with noticeable camera shake. Overall, the footage from both isn't really that usable. Samsung and Vivo perform much better here, delivering smoother video, more accurate colors, and far better control over noise.
Now let's take a quick look at the optical lenses and see how they handle dark conditions.
The iPhone has a brand new 48 megapixel periscope telephoto lens with 4x optical zoom. The Galaxy comes with its classic double setup, a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical zoom, and a second 50 megapixel periscope telephoto with 5x optical zoom. The Pixel, like the iPhone, also has a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto, but with 5x optical zoom, and Vivo features a massive 200 megapixel sensor with 3.7x optical zoom. We found that using 5x on Samsung always resulted in a worse looking photo, so we stuck to the 3x optical zoom. In this first set of photos, both the iPhone and the Galaxy struggled to properly focus on the subject, resulting in blurry looking shots. The Pixel handles focus better and appears sharper, though the image looks slightly over-processed. Vivo once again delivers the most natural and effortless look, with soft tones that work well overall, even if it could be a touch cooler and a little bit sharper. We tested the devices in a backlit scenario to see how they would handle extra challenging lighting, and honestly, they all performed pretty poorly. If we had to pick a winner, it would be Vivo, mainly because my face is at least visible. However, the extreme smoothing makes it look like a heavy beauty filter was applied on top. In this final example, the Galaxy doesn't hold up well as it's out of focus and the colors appear pretty flat. The iPhone and the Pixel perform better, but the Pixel delivers a noticeably sharper image with more natural colors, while the iPhone still isn't perfectly sharp. And no surprise here, Vivo once again looks excellent. Alright, let's do a quick recap and reveal which phone rises from the shadows as the true winner. Our scoring system prioritizes categories by relevance, giving greater weight to the most popular ones and smaller percentages to those that matter less. So, going through all categories, Vivo performed the best in every single category apart from front camera, where the iPhone took the crown, and Vivo interestingly scored last place. So, after adding up all the points, last place goes to the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. It did well in certain areas like zoom and the front camera, but it fell short in several categories. Third place goes to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, which wasn't far behind second place, missing it by only a few points. And that means that our winner, no big surprise here, is the mighty Vivo X200 Ultra, finishing well ahead of the competition. So that of course leaves the iPhone 17 Pro Max in second place. There is no doubt that the Vivo X200 Ultra is the best overall choice when it comes to night shooting. However, if you're selfie obsessed, then the 17 Pro Max is the better option. The Galaxy and the iPhone both scored only 1 point less than Vivo in the video category, which shows that they are also very strong performers in this area. And the Pixel, well, let's just say there's definitely room for improvement. So, what do you think? Are these results enough to make you switch to one of these phones, or are you happy keeping your older device for a bit longer? Let us know in the comments below. And before you go and put your spooky costume on, be sure to leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe as we're always testing new devices to help you make the best choice. We'll see you in our next video. Happy Halloween, and until then, take care.